You ever walk into a classroom and you find them asking what is the absolute value of 2? So in this video, I'm going to be explaining what absolute values mean in the most simplest way that even someone in primary school would understand. So basically, your absolute values are measuring the distance. So you don't have to worry about this long description that you will see that the lectures are going to use. They will always use formulas that are difficult for you to understand. So in this video, I'll be explaining it in a way that almost everyone will be able to understand it. As I said, there are always these bars that you see um, covering the 2 in between. They're always asking you what is the distance from 0. So I'm just gonna start with a simple example. So let's just say we have a number line. I'm just using a number line because they try to explain what the absolute values mean using a number line. So if I have a number line and here I have a 0, here I have -2, then here I have 2, then okay, let me just do it like this. Then here we'll say we have marble A, this side we have marble B. If we have marble A that is starting from this side and it goes and it ends to this side, then we have marble B which is going to be starting from this side, then it moves, then it gets to this side. So if I was to ask what is the distance that marble A has covered, you will definitely say that marble A has covered a distance of 2. Let's just say it's in this are given in meters. Just say the marble has covered a distance of 2 meter, and also marble B has covered a distance of 2 meter. You see, so that's why you would normally hear your lecture or your teacher saying your absolute value never produces a negative outcome. They're basically just saying you that you can never have a negative distance. So even this is starting from -2 to 0, but we still regard this distance from here to here as 2 meters. You see, so that's basically the distance that they are referring to. So jumping into the examples now, you will see now they say what is the absolute value of 3. What are they asking you? What is the distance from 0 to this one? Then you will say it as 3. So now they come again and ask you what is the absolute value of -3. So what is the distance between 0 to -3? Then you will still write it as 3. And also from that explanation that I gave you, that your absolute value never produces a negative outcome or a negative distance. So in the first part of the video, we're going to be working out at least the absolute values. We're going to be calculating the absolute value using the definition. In the second part, we're going to be talking about the properties and also looking at some of the equations that they might give you. So let's just say you have a first example that says what is the absolute value of 14 minus 2. So if they give you something like this, you always start by working the inside. So you will say you have what? You have that 14 minus 2, then this would be the same as having your 12. See? Then now they say what is the absolute value of -3 minus 14. You still do the same thing. You will say you have your -3 minus 14, then you get to have your minus 7. Oh, I forgot. Here I didn't finish. You will finish it like this, that okay, you have worked the inside. You will say what is the absolute value of 12, then this will be the final answer. Sorry for that mistake. Then here you're going to do it like this. Then how do you end it? You will say you have an absolute value of minus 17, then this would be 17. You see how we're now working backwards to the ones that we have done before. So now let's just say you have an example where they're saying what you have. You have an absolute value of minus 2 minus an absolute value of minus 14. So when we are busy doing these examples, you can also try to pause and do them on your own, or you can just follow along when we are busy trying to explain. So how we would do this one is that we work on each and every cage. What do I mean by cage? I mean this absolute value, then you move to the other one. So you would say, okay, what is the absolute value of minus 2? Your absolute value of minus 2 is going to give you 2. Then you have your minus, what is the absolute value of minus 14? That one is going to give you your 14. Same way that we have been doing with the other one. So you will say what is your 2 minus your 14, then this will give you your minus 12. That will be the final answer. Remember, in this one you don't have to put it in the cage because you've already worked this one separately when you were doing so. Because remember, this one we said what is the absolute value of this one? We said it's 2 for this one minus 14, then it's 14. Then we just had to put that negative sign in between. So this would be when they ask you to use the definition to calculate the following absolute values. So now let's go for an instance where now they're starting to give you some of the equations. So with the equations one, you have to know the properties. So we normally have about 3 properties that they would use in calculus. So the first one, I'm just going to quickly write them. You have your for absolute value is greater or equals to 0 for all values of x. Then the second one is your absolute value of x is equals to 0 if and only if your x is equals to 0. Then the third one, they say your absolute value of x is equals to a, then if and only if x is equals to plus or minus a. So how is this going to help you? These are the properties that you have to keep in your mind, or you can just memorize. So yeah, you only need those 3 to be able to solve the next equations that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to write the equations down this side. That okay, so the first one, if they say you have an absolute value of x minus 8 is absolute value of x minus 8 is equals to 0. How do you solve this one? The first thing that you have to notice is that, okay, what property am I using? Notice or remember that you are using property 2. And if you're using property 2, it means you can just take this and write it in this way, that you have your x minus 8 is equals to 0. Therefore, now you can conclude that you have your x equals to 8. Then here, which property rule did we use? We used the property rule number number 2. Then now we get to the second example where they say what is the absolute value of 5. So what is the absolute value of 5? So how to think about this one is that, okay, you're always asking yourself your answer in terms of x. You say okay, so you say x can be equal to 2 things which are true. Okay, I forgot to mention that you have to identify first that which rule are you going to use. You'll see for this one it's number 3. So we're using property 3, and as I was saying, you'll say x can be equal to 2 things which can be true. What are those? You can either have your x is equals to 5, or you can have your x is equals to minus 5, as I've said, you see. Or how can you write it? You can just write your x is equals to plus or minus 5. That would be your final answer. So you're done with that one. So now what if these switch things now and give you that your absolute value of x is equals to minus 5? You can try to think about that one. I'll just give you a couple of a second. So yeah, with this one, you're having an absolute value of x, and they're saying the absolute value of x is equals to minus 5. But if you look at property 1, what are they saying? They are saying an absolute of value of x can be, it's greater than or equals to 0 for all values of x. So it means now this one has no solution. So that's how you move. So now I think we can still do one more example. We have an absolute value of x minus 8 is equals to 2. So first things first, the way we have been moving, you ask yourself, which property rule am I going to be using? You will see that you're going to be using property rule number 3. So how are you going to be writing that one? You're going to be having this, but you're going to be equating it to plus or minus 2. So you're going to be, let me write it like this. You're going to be having your x minus 8 is equals to 2, or x minus 8 is equals to minus 2. So you're going to solve both sides. You're going to be having your x is equals to, you'll have your 2 plus 8, then this side you have your x is equals to minus 2 plus 8. So it's going to be plus when it moves to that side. So now you can have your x is equals to 10, or your x is equals to, I think, it's 6. It's 6. So you see how you can be asked questions based on these absolute values. Remember, they call this the absolute value functions, but in other textbooks for calculus, they call them the modulus functions. So don't be confused when they call them modulus. That's just basically another term, and that's it. They'll either ask you to calculate the absolute values, like in the first part of the video we did, or the second part where they ask you to do the equations, and with the equations you have to remember these properties. Then see you on the next video.